Just me. There's no one else but me. Can you hear me?
I know you can read my thoughts, boy. Meow 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 meow.
Welcome, mutated squids, and look, everyone else is a member of the main cast, and if I characterize them off this episode, it's just going to come off as mean, innit? This is episode 349 of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 8th of April, 2020, featuring Torchwood, Greek-Sparing Gifts, written by Toby Whithouse, and starring John Barrowman as Captain Jack Harkness, Eve Miles as Gwen Cooper, Bern Gorman as Owen Harper, Naoko Mori as Toshiko Sato, and Gareth David-Lloyd as Yanto Jones. I'm Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and I've reached a point of social isolation where I'm baking cookies. With me are Randy Ronson McCulloch.
I swear the walls are closing in.
Mad Matt Winchell.
I was born to social isolation, bored by it.
Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
How you doing?
And Thomas Fireheart.
Who's still muted.
Yep. Unmute yourself. Join us. Join us. Join us.
Google.
Well, he's unmuted now, but still nothing.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Hooray!
Yeah, I'm here.
Come on. Be more enthusiastic than that.
Hi.
I'm just picturing Thomas doing a stand-up routine now. I was like, everyone put your hands together for Thomas Fireheart. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here.
You could all go
Basically
home.
pulling a Stephen Wright. Thanks. I used to do Stephen Wright impersonations, like, completely and totally, like, exact.
I put a skylight in my apartment. My upstairs neighbor's pissed.
Exactly. Except I could actually do all of his inflictions.
Yeah, I
'Cause
can't quite
I
get
li-
his inflections, but I can get his tone.
Yeah, I could do the tone, I could do his inflictions, because I listened to his damn, the Eye of a Pony album. I listened to it 113 times. In the 1980s, that was my go-to for when I needed a laugh, and I needed a laugh frequently. So yeah, by around 1990, I could do the entire thing, mannerisms and all. But
I do notice that once in a while, even though he's really deadpan, he once in a while gets himself. If he gets a really good audience reaction.
If you ever watch him, see him when he does something, every now and then you'll see him trying not to crack a smile and failing.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I could do that, but that was 30 years ago. So, I used to be able to do Mickey Mouse pretty good too, and I can't do that anymore either.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I just can't though. I used to have that tone. My voice has since dropped about 3 octaves, so I know, amazing, right?
Yeah, it's like the passage of time does things to your body.
I used to be a tenor, and now I sing low baritone, I think. Not quite a bass, but if I drop, I can try. So how's the week been to everyone else?
Not too bad.
It's pretty quiet.
I can't seem to wrap my head around my schedule. My family's around all the time this week. It's just
Whereas I'm getting used to the fact that I pretty much live alone now. I mean, it's kind of been that way for the past 3 weeks, but I now have confirmation that it's going to be that way for a bit longer. And
I
That's
had to
not
remind
something I'm
myself
used
that
to.
it's Wednesday like 3 times. So I woke up this morning and I wanted to say it was like Sunday or something.
No, I knew it was Wednesday because yesterday we did the freaking Path of Exile stream. So
Yeah, that's because of stuff like that. That's why I have a basis of what day is it? Oh yeah, we did that yesterday.
it's like tonight we do the podcast, tomorrow we do the Borderlands stream. Friday I don't need to do jack, and then the day after is the Conan game. Did I miss anything?
Excellent.
Every evening till Saturday, I play Final Fantasy 3 for stream, and then Saturday I do the Conan D&D, and then Sunday, Dungeon Keeper.
Mm.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
and somewhere on Saturday or Sunday we have to go to the store.
Yeah, my perception of time this week was only really kind of iffy just because my sleeping habits threw themselves out. Even worse, because I decided, oh, well, I have to work Saturday and I can't get to sleep, so fuck it. And because I'd woken up like 4 p.m. Friday. And I was up for over 24 hours, then slept for like 12 to 13 hours, and then that just made it worse.
Nah.
And then
How to
I've,
have
like,
the freedom to do that.
And then I woke up at like 3 this morning and then had a nap earlier.
I
thought I was-
the main reason my family has off this week was originally for Easter, and lo and behold, look what's happening now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I was getting sick earlier this week. It turns out that I was just suffering from lack of sleep. Because it's that wonderful time of year where if I open my window, it's too cold in my room, and if I close my window, it's too hot in my room.
Ah, yes.
Which means I'm getting sleep in like 1 hour stints. I freaking hate it. But yesterday was glorious. And last night I wound up sleeping for like 8 hours straight. So my body's just like, fine now. Yeah, those symptoms you were having, gone now.
I've been having a hard time getting to sleep actually the last 2 nights in a row. It's gotten to the point, I think last night I ended up being up till 4 in the morning. I'm like, I really need to be fucking asleep.
Yeah, I don't have a choice in the matter because Aaron comes home and's like, I'm taking a shower and going to bed. So you better be off the damn game by the time I'm I'm out of the shower. Because I've basically my life has been do whatever streams I need, and between the time I'm basically just playing video games. Anyway, on tonight's show, we've got birthdays followed by news. Not a lot of news, but a little bit. Followed by Geek Talk, which we've got about 4 things. Then Bill has a review of Shame.
Yep.
Shame.
And then we're going to go right into our review, our summary, our review, our final thoughts, and our ratings. If I can remember things in that order without getting tongue-tied. Bleh.
Oh, like
Rubber
my,
baby
like
buggy
my
rubber
introduction
baby
today,
buggy
yeah.
I need to do that just constantly for a week.
I mess it up.
I need to do that constantly for a week, and when I come back, I'll be talking like the Micro Machine Man.
I used to do that on drive-through, and then people started not understanding what I was saying, and everyone was like, slow the hell down.
Well, no, you see, that's the thing about the glory of the Micro Machine Man, is he could do that in that rapid pace, and you knew exactly what he said.
Your mind was racing the entire time, but you were just barely able to keep up, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it depends on how often you heard the commercial.
No, it didn't matter.
No.
I knew it from the first time forward.
First time, yeah.
The man was a professional auctioneer.
Yeah.
So that's what he did for a
Also,
living.
after Micro Machines, he also became a transformer.
Yeah. But, I mean, that was, where he got started was talking fast for auctions.
Yep.
Because they don't want an auction guy going, lot 37.
Unless you're at Sotheby's,
Oh, yeah, if you're one of those. But when you're doing an auction down south, It's and up lot 39. We've got 20 head of cattle, 20 head of cattle, 20 head of going for 15, 15, 15, 20, 20, 20, going 20, 25, 25, 25, 25, 30. You know, you need to go that fast because you're basically selling livestock. Anyway, so let's go ahead and start with birthdays. You've got 3 birthdays this week. First one was April 2nd, right after our last podcast. That's the birthday of Robert Holmes, who wrote for Doctor Who from 1968 to 1986. Probably the longest running semi-regular writer that Doctor Who had. And of course was the script editor from 75 to 77, the first few years of Tom Baker.
Mm-hmm.
He would have been 94, but he died in 86 at 60 while writing the final part of Trial of a Time Lord. So he was writing all the way up to his death.
Yep.
Next was on the 3rd of April was the birthday of Peter Howell, a composer for the series from 1980 to 1985, and arranged the main title theme that we heard from 1980 to 1986. That is, of course, the electric guitar version that everybody's very familiar with. It's probably the second most popular version of the Doctor Who theme.
Mm-hmm.
He turned 72. And then finally, the 6th of April saw the birthday of Mark Strickson, who played Vizsla Turlough from 83 to 84, and he turned 61. Jesus, what kind of a world we're in where Turlough is 61?
84 feels too long ago for me to wrap my head around the fact that he's only 61. Like, it feels like he should be older.
Hey,
Really?
hey,
Feels to me
hey,
like he
Bill,
should be younger.
bite me. That's a year older than me.
You realize that's
61 is a year older than you?
36
84
years
is a
ago.
year older than me.
Right.
So
But I mean, he was an adult. He was acting at that time. He wasn't a child.
No. So 36 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
he would have been in his mid-20s, 25.
Yeah.
So a 25 playing an 18-year-old is not that unheard of.
Right,
Honestly,
right.
It isn't.
And he did have one of those boyish faces.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
His jowls are trying to catch up with him, but they haven't yet.
Anyway, that's all the birthdays. So happy birthday to Robert, Peter, and Mark. Now, we go from births to deaths.
Yes. An Unearthly Podcast is saddened to announce the death of Honor Blackman. While Blackman did play the role of Professor Lasky in Terror of the Vervoids, she is best known as the Bond girl whose name everyone remembers, Pussy Galore, in 1964's Goldfinger.
And mentioning her is the only way you can say that in conversation without getting slapped.
Mm-hmm.
Blackman was born in East London in 1928, a civil servant's daughter. For her 15th birthday, her father bought her acting lessons, something she took to heart and launched her career. Her first on-screen role came 4 years later in a non-speaking role in the 1947 film Fame is the Spur. She went on to other bit parts in 1948's Quartet, 1950's So Long at the Fair, and 1958's A Night to Remember. Her big break came in 1962 when she was cast as
I think that's supposed to be Kathy.
Kathy Gale in one of the lead characters in the British spy series The Avengers. It was this role that led to her casting as Pussy Galore. She also appeared as the goddess Hera in 1963's Jason and the Argonauts, and Juliet Daggett in 1968's Shalako. She also appeared in series such as Never the Twain, Bridget Jones's Diary, Jack and the Beanstalk, The Real Story, Casualty, and even A Stint in Coronation Street, where she played Rula Romanoff. A few years after her appearance in Terror of the Vervoids, she was cast as Laura West, Caroline Wheatley's mother, in the ITV series The Upper Hand, a role she would hold for 6 years. During her time in the Avengers, Blackman broke into music alongside co-star Pat McNee, making a song called Kinky Boots, referring to the boots she wore on the show. She also recorded an album called Everything I've Got, following her appearance in Goldfinger. Blackman died in her home in Lewes, East Sussex, on the 5th of April of natural causes. She was 94.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, good run.
definitely.
Yeah. They mentioned Jason the Argonauts in that?
Yeah, she was Hera.
God, I didn't realize that was her. Okay. Jason the Argonauts and Clash of the Titans are probably my favorite Ray Harryhausen movies.
And one's from the early days of Ray Harryhausen, and one's from the later days of Harryhausen.
So. No, he had a lot of earlier stuff than that.
Anyway,
Any hoo-ha way?
moving on, we have a little bit from Candy Jar Books.
Oh yes, Candy Jar Books. Candy Jar Books has a free download for The Crisis. It looks like Lucy Wilson is caught in lockdown like the rest of us. But when her video call to Hobo is hijacked by herself, what can she do from her house? The Lucy Wilson Mysteries copy-paste is available to download from the Candy Jar Books website.
Yep. I think that's a short story, but it's free and topical.
Free and topical, right for anybody who wants it.
And then we've got a couple of articles from Big Finish.
All right. Is it a relaxation audio, a self-help audio, or the story of Captain Jack Harkness? We can't figure it out, so you'll have to find out for yourself. Narrated by Monty Python's Michael Palin, Torchwood, Tropical Beach Sounds, and Other Relaxing Seascapes number 4 is now available as a collector's edition CD at £10.99, or download at $8.99 exclusively at Big Finish website.
And yes, I listened to their clip on this one. I can't figure it out. Pretty much the entire audio has that beach sound going behind it, and Palin talking almost like you'd expect the book to sound in Hitchhiker's Guide.
And in special news, Big Finish has decided to give people something to listen to while they're on lockdown for social distancing. Every Monday, a new story or episode from a box set collection will be made available to download exclusively from the Big Finish website's weekly deals page.
That might be doubled up. Yeah.
Yeah. These stories can be unlocked by anyone who has a registered for Big Finish account, which is free to create, and played on the Big Finish app, which is free to install. Each story will be available for 1 week only and comes accompanied by a special discount offer on related titles. This week's free title is Doctor Who, The War Doctor, The Innocent. Log in anytime between now and Monday the 13th to get it free.
I already got mine. It's free. I'm like, yes. And yeah, sorry on the doubling up there. I have a habit of taking out URLs and putting the Big Finish website in its place.
Gotcha.
And I didn't realize they had said the Big Finish website half a sentence earlier.
I just figured that was the result of writing a draft quickly, same day. It's not like anybody proofreads these after you.
Basically, I take the news clip that they have and then I re-edit them. So that there's some things in there that are similar, but the names have been changed to protect the innocent. And generally, when I see a direct URL these days, instead of having you guys rattle off http://www.iceverything.com/specials/deals/ whatever the hell we're looking at .htx, I just backspace that out and just say their website.
I have to see if I have that one or not.
I think you do, because
I think that's a chapter of the first War Doctor box set, right?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think I might have that
we
one.
technically reviewed it, so you can check out.
I think we have, yeah. But now everyone can get it on their own phone.
Check out the review if you want to first, and then also seek out the free copy.
Oh, apparently the War Doctor is not a separate collection with his face on Big Finish.
Mm.
I thought he was. Okay.
But regardless, I mean, I
Yep.
just it's a freebie, so I just grabbed it.
Yep.
I may never download it or not for years, but I have
Mhm.
access to it. So that is all our news. There's not a lot of news. Every other news was
Mhm.
like they're streaming they're doing a
Yeah.
stream along tomorrow.
Yeah.
2-3 days ago, so it's already passed.
Yeah, if you want to keep up on what that sort of news, the best thing to do is just follow a lot of Doctor Who faces on Twitter or probably Instagram too.
Yeah, I think there
Yeah,
was another
because-
one of those. I think there was another one of those short stories that they're just kind of doing to pass the time, kind of thing,
Mhm.
released by Stephen Moffat or something, but I forget the exact.
Yeah, I know
thing,
Moffat put
and
out a
that might be
story. I
on-
couldn't remember if we covered that. If that was
Yeah,
last
that
week
was
or
kind of
not.
my problem
Yeah.
is I can't remember which short story we've covered and not. And
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to re-listen to back podcasts for 4 hours.
Yeah,
trying to figure it out.
yeah.
And yeah, all the type of news we normally would cover usually involves people gatherings of 5 or more, which are highly discouraged.
We cover
in today's
interviews
day.
for magazines.
Right.
We cover production news,
hmm
and then we cover appearances at conventions and stuff. Stuff that nobody's going to.
Whereas, while I imagine that BBC News is considered an essential worker, the Doctor Who studio is probably less high on that sort of
Basically BBC drama
break
is
isolation
shut
priority.
down right now. Yeah.
Yeah, any news people would be out there. Any people who are just there to act for a show, no, you're home now.
Now that you say that, I wonder how many networks are just airing reruns. I mean, probably not yet because most things are filmed months and months in
Yeah,
advance.
I'm gonna say
but-
there's probably a month or two, depending upon what you're looking
But
at. That'll be
I-
airing new stuff, but then when they hit the end, they'll probably have no choice.
I would not be shocked because I know September and October a lot of shows start their seasons. I would not be shocked if the 2020 seasons start really late, if at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, found what the thing was. He wrote a story specifically for the 13th Doctor, like a short story.
Oh, that was the one that was set. Was that the one that was set like in the minutes before the first episode or something?
Yeah, I think we covered that last week.
No, I think that was
Oh,
something
okay.
Chibnall did.
Oh, that's okay.
This
Are
is
you talking?
different.
Are you talking about the one where she finds a hologram of Susan? Because
don't
I
think
thought we
so.
did that one too.
No. It's like apparently it's called The Terror of the Umpty Ums. or something
Oh.
like that.
Oh, I don't think I'd heard about that one.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about that one.
hmm Are you looking at an article you could just describe real quick, or?
Let's see. The story introduces us to an unusual little boy called David. Unusual because he's actually a Deathbog 400 called Carpagnon, with plans to destroy the human race, whose reign of terror is cut short when the Doctor begins giving him advice. We'll see if it says where it is. If
I
it's
think
one
I'd
of
heard a
those-
reference to it, but I couldn't find an article direct.
Yeah, it was like the thing that I found was a Radio Times article, and it's one of those things where BBC's it's a short story that they've uploaded to the BBC website or BBC blog or something.
Yeah, I don't know how much of those we can continue to cover because they're no longer headlining news.
They're just coming out of them
And of course-
every week.
And of course, Radio Times during the off season becomes so BuzzFeedy we usually don't even check it. All right. I guess moving on to Geek Talk then.
Yep.
I suppose so.
Oh, I did find a reference to it on Cult Box, but yeah, it was sandwiched between stuff, so I missed it. Because the thing above it was a guy talking about private collectors have at least 6 missing Doctor Who episodes. Yes, we know that. We've known that for about 3 years now. So I think I was bitching about the non-news that I missed that one.
Ah,
Anyway, we're moving on to
Alright.
Geek
Yep.
Talk.
So the first item, since television and streaming comes first, is I was finally able to catch what what had been unable to see of Arrow season 8. Not all of this year's CW stuff is on Netflix yet, but that was. So I managed to watch the episodes I hadn't seen. So my final thoughts on the season. It's pretty much as you would expect of a season planned to be the finale. It's in many ways a retrospective of Arrow. It doesn't have like clips in the way that the early seasons did, but they kind of revisit every major character from the show. Thea has an episode. Roy has an episode. Felicity, who is absent from the season, I'm assuming due to obligations of the actress, but I don't know if I've ever looked it up. She does appear in the final episode. And I will say that final episode, this is partially because of the buildup of the season, but partially just because of how good of an episode it is put together, is one of the few episodes of television that has made me cry. I thought it would be kind of bland because I had heard that it focused on the funeral. But they actually do a lot of major buildup to the point where by the time the funeral gets there, you're really feeling it. It's kind of like the third act of the episode or so, but there's a lot going on before it. I would not consider that to be the major point of the episode.
Looks
So,
to me
yeah.
like he has a movie in post-production, so that might have led to that.
That's probably what she was doing then, yeah. So I would say Arrow Season 8 is a good closure to Arrow as a series. It's a little muddled in the sense that they were trying to launch a new show starring Mia Smoke / Queen. It changed from the Crisis. But they ended up, I think CW did not pick that up, so that show is not actually happening. But that was part of the goal of the season, was to pilot that show.
What show was that going to be?
It was, I don't know if it was going to be called Green Arrow and the Canaries, or if it was just going to be called something like the Canaries. But it was going to be set in the year 2040. And of course, most of the first half of the season, when they're not setting up for that, is setting up for Crisis. So it's kind of has a bit of an identity crisis going on, but when it's focused on Arrow, it's effective. And if you've been watching Arrow for 8 years and caught up, you probably were caught up on things enough to watch Crisis anyway. So yeah, I would say it's a fitting ending of the show.
All right. I'll have to watch it at some point. All right, moving on to video games. I'm first on this one. For the last few weeks, I have been playing what is still at this point the latest installment in Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed series, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's surprising because there's at some point where Ubisoft was coming out with Assassin's Creed games every year.
Yeah, apparently Ubisoft took into consideration that they've had a lot of issues, especially at launch, and they decided it's time to slow it down.
So, and as far as I can tell, they don't have one scheduled for this year either. Anyway, this one, I had played the previous installment, Assassin's Creed Origin. And that one, while it had a new play style, also had some things that people complained about. Well, Ubisoft tended to listen, because part of the big thing people complained about was the fact of the lack of sea combat, except in little aside missions. There was no way to really travel by sea. Well, this one, you get a boat, and you're able to sail around and do everything you could in Black Flag, only more primitively, because it's, ancient Greece as opposed to the age of piracy. That doesn't stop it from being really cool. Play function is pretty good. Probably some of the better I've seen in Assassin's Creed. Ship combat is virtually the same as it was in Black Flag, except instead of shooting cannons, you're shooting javelins. And arrows. And you can light boats on fire, which is also kind of cool. writing is interesting. It's really emotional writing at times. Some of it is really depressing, and there's at least one writer there that does some rather dark humor comedy. One mission I was on last week entitled A Really Bad Day. You wind up trying to save a village, but everything you do goes horribly, horribly wrong, including a blacksmith tripping over his stoop and being killed by his own tools. And you're literally watching as your guy comes up and goes, "Are you okay?" just as the hammer falls down and crushes his head. Yeah, it's brutal. And one of the latest missions I did, which is part of the main storyline, you have to escort a Spartan Pancretan wrestler to the Olympics, whose name is Testicles. I'm not kidding. And he's this big lout who winds up, big drunken lout, who winds up tripping on the pier coming off your ship and falling into the water and getting eaten by a shark. I'm not kidding. You see him trip over a basket of apples and fall through, and your character's like, well, I'm sure he could swim. And then you see shark and blood. So, of course, guess who gets to enter the Olympics in his place? Your character. It's just I can tell somebody's writing that with a stretch of dark humor, but there's also somebody there that loves. Go ahead.
It seems like something out of like a Monty Python sketch or something.
Well, it's a little darker than that.
Yeah.
It's a little darker than that. And I mean, this guy apparently loves that kind of humor because I can almost tell his writing style. But then there's the guy that loves to heap crap loads of emotional trauma onto situations and questions the "are you a monster or not" kind of thing. And because there's at least, I think, 3 story arcs where you're just like that. And they do a fairly well job of varying the light story arcs and the not so light story arcs. So that, you're coming off a depression fit and you're like, okay, I can deal with this now. Oh, good. This is a funny one. So it becomes a roller coaster ride of fairly decent writing for Ubisoft. The main character, I chose to play Alexios because you can either play that or his sister Cassandra. And they basically just switch roles in the storyline. I like Alexios. He's probably the best Assassin's Creed character I've played since Ezio. In the fact that there's Assassin's Creed either has a character you really like or you really hate. The first Assassin's Creed, I don't like the character because he's basically a block of wood emotionally. It's the same reason I don't like Assassin's Creed 3 is because that character is also basically a block of wood. The 2 trilogy of Ezio and the character from 4 are very decent personalities. Syndicate had a decent personality. Unity, meh. And I haven't played enough of Rogue yet to figure that one out. But this is definitely a hit character. I like his personality. This is the first time the Assassin's Creed you've been able to romance people. And I've taken that by liberally hitting on half of Greece. It doesn't matter. This is freaking Greece. You can hit on men. You can hit on women. Don't matter. Men can hit on you. As long as you're a
citizen.
If you're playing Cassandra, the women can hit on you too. It doesn't matter. It doesn't
over 5
matter.
minutes, by the way.
Okay. It's a very enjoyable game. If you love the Assassin's Creed series, or at least enjoy it, this one's one of the better ones to play. I've only seen minor bugs, so if they're working on quality control, they're doing a decent job.
Yeah, that seems to be the main reason why they're slowing down, from what I've been told.
I think the thing they basically seem to have now is Assassin's Creed Watch Dogs, sort of a jumping.
Yeah, and there's a new Watch Dogs coming out this year, which means we might see Assassin's Creed next year. Maybe.
Might.
According to rumors, it's going to take place in like Viking times.
Interesting. I might hop on that one actually. Also
I'm
interested in the new Watch Dogs because it takes place in Britain in the near future. You get to play
Hey.
little people with hacking devices.
Hmm.
Anyway, next item.
Yeah. I've had Animal Crossing New Horizons since launch. I've played it every day since it came out. It is pretty much, outside of playing the odd bit of Splatoon 2, I've pretty much played nothing else except Animal Crossing New Horizons since it came out, and I really enjoyed it. It is very as frustrating as it can be sometimes. It's more just like you taking the game too seriously that allows that to happen because it's been very relaxing otherwise. I've almost got the max amount of villages, which is 10, which I feel like is probably more than previous games. I don't know, because I think someone used to said before it's like I think there's only 6, and then someone was like, no, you can have 10 full villages. Though in this case, you get to recruit. You're stuck with 2 to start with, because the whole thing of the game is that you've gone on as part of this getaway thing or whatever, and then you end up setting up a community on this island. And you get to they give you a couple of choices that you get to pick from for what island you're going for. But yeah, it's been pretty fun. I finally unlocked the terraforming stuff that you get a couple of days, well, almost a week ago now, I think. Because there's actually, oddly enough, there is sort of a mini story, because there's actually a bit where an event will happen and then that will trigger credits, and then from then on it's just go from there sort of a thing. Because basically you're just trying to get the Animal Crossing character KK Slider to show up and perform, and then once he does, the credits roll and all that, and then you just kind of keep going from there. It's funny though, because every time he comes back, when he performs a song, that'll play the credits anyway. So it's well, that's a bit weird, but I still haven't got the only villager that I actually want yet, which is Bob. But which is annoying because I've gone on these Mystery Island tour things that you can do, which is how most of the time how you recruit, how you can get new villagers. Other that, I've heard that if a villager is leaving someone else's island and you visit them, you can convince the villager that's leaving to come to your island, so long as you've got an open spot. And it's funny because I didn't realize at first that it was oh, I should actually probably be a bit more careful about who I pick. But yeah, so far I've basically got my island set out the way I want it. I've just got to add more stuff to get the 5-star rating for the island and all that. But other than that, it's a very chill game. Honestly, it's one of those it does not surprise me that this game has been doing incredibly well considering what's going on in the world right now, because it is a game that you can very easily bank a lot of time in. I think I've already got over 200 hours, and I've been playing it for 20 days or 21 days now, maybe, or something like that.
Am I right in seeing it as basically Minecraft with furries?
Not even Minecraft.
Nah.
Animal Crossing is very much more of a what would you call it? A everyday simulator?
The Sims?
Yeah, sort of.
Closest thing
I
might be The
mean-
Sims. Basically, you run around your village or whatever island you're on, and you collect different things such as bugs and fish and plants
Hmm.
and so on, and you essentially sell them or you take them to a museum in this one, from what I hear, in order to build up the
Yeah,
museum.
yeah. Like you get like you can get fossils and that, and have to
Yeah,
get them
yeah. By
recycled
searching
before you
certain
can
things,
go.
you'll find fossils. You'll find things for your
Mm,
house. You'll find outfits for your character. I
mm.
think doing certain things also unlock tools for your character as well, if I recall.
Yeah, like the further you get into the game, the more tools you'll unlock. And in this case, in this game, something that's pissed people off, and it's fair enough, is that the weapon, like the tools that you have, are breakable, whereas they never were in any of the previous games. I mean, crafting them is easy, but and you can there are like the flimsy versions of them you can even just buy from the store while it's open. And it doesn't take too many resources to actually craft, and you can be done crafting in like 2 seconds. Um, but yeah, it is kind of annoying. But you can just take backups, and like the inventory can get up to like 4 rows, I think.
Something
You
like
start
that.
off with like one or
Hmm.
two, but yeah, like you can spend, because they have money, and then they have this other currency called Nook Miles, where you can spend it on all this different stuff. Um, which is handy because it's like if I was having to pay with the in-game currency for everything, that would be a bit much. Um, and you can even, like, while you're on one of these Mystery Island tours, they even have a little crafting station there in case you need to craft new tools, which is handy. And you can like buy the flimsy versions off the guy that flew you there. Um, yeah, I would definitely, like, if people have a Nintendo Switch, I would absolutely recommend this game. Like, I don't know how long I will continue to play it for. Like, if I'll still be playing this every day, like, for a year
Oh wow, we're
necessarily.
like over 6 minutes into this.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, yeah, I would highly recommend this one. So moving on for that to, I guess it's funny that last time I almost tried to cover a musical, I had to cut it because just we had too much geek talk for a change. Yesterday on a whim, I had to keep myself awake because I had been up since, I don't know, my sleeping habits were wonky anyway, so I decided, fuck it. I rented the 1998 filmed version of the stage musical Cats because I just figured, fuck it, why not? And I don't entirely know what to make of it, really. It's like the longer it went, the more I was like, who the fuck in their right mind thought this could even work as a movie?
I bet there's no
Like,
butthole cut of that one.
Oh, I don't know. If
uh,
there was a costume problem, I wouldn't think they'd be able to avoid it. They'd have to just blur it out.
um, I mean, it's just it's like it's entertaining. Like, I didn't think it was bad. Even like, oh, it's hilariously bad. Like, it was enjoyable, but it was still just like, I have no idea what to make of this. There's no plot. It's just kind of things happening, and like there's a bunch of songs and dance numbers and all this, and
I'm told there's a
there's
plot, but it's a
maybe,
very loose plot.
I mean, the movie had to add a plot from what I can recall, because it's really just, the musical
That's
starts
how
and they're
Lindsay
singing
Ellis
about,
described it.
yeah, it's like they kind of sing about being cats, and then like there's kind of like elements that come in and out, but otherwise it's just they're all singing about being cats. And it's just like for 2 hours, and it's just like, okay, this is a thing. I don't, yeah, it's just I don't know how anyone thought it was a good idea to make that into a full-blown movie, because apparently even this was like I've seen like the Les Mis thing that I went to a screening of, that was like a concert version of Les Mis, and even that was cut down, but that was still over 3 hours. This was like almost 2 hours. And apparently from what I read, even that was cut down, but it was still like an approximation of the stage show, because it was done on a stage, just no crowd. And I mean, for all I know, there might have been even different choreography for some bits, but they've like cut songs out. So it is kind of funny though, because there's the first version of like the first snippet of Memory, and then another song that ends on a kind of a sad note. And then out of nowhere, it goes into this very like, suddenly everyone's really happy because they're singing this song about this one particular cat, and it's just like, what the fuck? That is such a bizarre tonal change that I wonder if there was like an in between there, because it's just so weird. But yeah, I would say people are better off watching this than the 2019 movie. I haven't seen the 2019 movie. I don't really want to. I think I might at
I
some
don't think anybody wants to.
Yeah, like if I ever do, it'll just to be like out of morbid curiosity and to
What-
have an opinion on it.
One day it might be 2020's version of The Room.
It's
But
like
that,
pure
that might
nightmare
be giving
fuel.
it too much credit.
Yes, yeah, that's giving it too
Yeah.
much credit. There's just no. All of the no.
Yeah, of course it is funny because I look at the stage version and then I look at the 2019 movie and I'm like, yeah, why didn't they just do something sort of like this for the outfits instead of the CG crap?
Because it's
just
Hollywood and they want to throw money at it.
Yeah.
Even though
Rawr,
it's a bad
technology.
idea.
Rawr, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the 21st century. Nobody will deal with people in cat suits. So yeah, let's do full CGI. Oh
Yeah,
my
I mean-
god, it's an abomination against nature.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they probably toned it down in some bits because it's. I had a warning by watching videos about it before, but it is funny how oddly sexual it gets in some parts because it's just like, okay, what?
The 2019
Okay,
version or
then.
the one you watched?
The one I watched. I mean, I've heard that like there are probably sexual.
There's
bits in the 2019,
there's
from what I
definitely some
know.
awkward cinematography going on
Um,
from the advertisements of the recent ones.
Yeah.
So I don't think it all went away.
Yeah, like, and I mean, some of it's just, yeah, like, I don't know. It's just so, yeah, it's just such, it's an experience watching that musical. It's just like, okay.
Cats, it's an experience.
So you're saying
like-
your version is actually Cats in Heat?
Oh my.
Probably.
Well, over
mean-
5 minutes, by the way.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I would, if you're gonna watch a version of Cats, I'd just say this. I mean, you can rent it for cheap on YouTube, so why not? Yeah.
There's worse ways to spend your weekend, I'm sure.
Hmm.
You could be
Watching
watching
the
Manos,
2019
The Hands of Fate.
You could be watching the 2019 version.
Or the 2019 version. Oh.
Or you could be the poor person who had to remove all the buttholes from the 2019 version.
Yeah, that's a story, by the way. Apparently, they had to do extra censoring because it just randomly made folds in the outfits that looked like buttholes at
Well, what-
random.
Okay, I hadn't
Yeah,
read the
it
articles,
was-
but
it-
at least I don't know, this might have been an urban legend, but I had heard the director asked them to put it in, and then someone had to take them back
There's
out.
an urban legend about him wanting the full realism, but then there was actually apparently even before then, there were sometimes creases in the outfits that would make weird artifacting that looked like buttholes, so they still had
Aha.
to fix up the digital. So,
Anyway,
yeah,
we done?
Yep.
that seems to be the whole
I
list.
think we are.
So now we move forward to the review of Shame.
Yes, the review of Shame, Fear Her, one of the infamous episodes of the 10th Doctor era. It's interesting.
Did we just lose Bill?
I was wondering. I was wondering if it was my end. No, it sounds like we lost Bill. Bill?
Earth to Bill.
Bill.
Well, this is awkward.
Yes.
Because this was what we're going to do before the summary.
Yeah.
We can't just stop in the middle of the review to go back to this.
Yep. I'm going to give him like 2 more minutes to start talking again. And if he doesn't, I'm going to have to... Who's doing the summary this week?
Me.
Okay, so somebody who's here. Then we're going to go forward, and he's going to have to hold off a week.
Yeah. And that'll make the review even more shameful.
Well, this is technical issues. It also means that he's going to wind up adding tonight's episode to his list. Maybe his phone ran out of charge or something. No, he's still listed as being online.
Yeah, he's still in the chat. He's just not talking. Maybe I'm wondering if maybe his phone turned off and he didn't realize it.
Possible. That happens when I'm tending to use Discord on my phone.
I think he's even said that that's happened to him before. Or his phone.
Yeah, it's some kind of weird thing with the Discord app on Android phones. Is it just if the phone goes to sleep long enough, Discord just stops using audio. It's like, what the hell, man? I was talking here. All right, that was 2 minutes.
Yeah, we gotta move on. We're not gonna wait here all night.
Yep.
Sorry, Bill, if you can hear us.
All right, so now we move forward to the summary.
This is going to be annoying because I only realized as the episode was ending on my rewatch, oh shit, I'm in summary this week, and I hadn't took notes.
Well, the rest of us wing it.
Oh, he's typing, apparently. Yeah, he's only
I've
just
been hearing me
realised
all
now
this
that-
time. Do I have connection?
Can't even put up a technical issues, please stand by sign.
Dun 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 dun.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Okay.
I guess we can get back to the review then.
I was wondering why it was so quiet. Like normally guys aren't just completely dead silent while I'm talking.
Shame.
I guess it was a Discord problem.
You said about 3 words and then it died.
Wonderful.
And I'm sitting here with a chip in my mouth going, shit.
I was actually looking back to Discord like, oh, did it disconnect again?
You missed me being pissed off that I didn't write down my thoughts and trying to remember them live on air. So I guess that bullshit never happened. That's good.
Yeah, well,
welcome back to the Android that
we were moving on to the summary now because we had
we were about to start it, but then you started to finally react.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So what I liked about the episode was the animation of the drawings. I thought that was done pretty effectively and seemed to be exactly what they were trying to show us. So I thought that was effective. What I disliked was the way that they apparently didn't even have 5 cents to use Audacity or something to have the voice be literally anything other than the girl pretending to have laryngitis for the alien voice. My favorite scene, I really wish I'd written this down because I'm not sure if this is the one or not, but I'm thinking the moment that the Doctor and Rose share in the TARDIS, where he's talking about, traveling companionship, and she's pointing at the screen and he thinks she's offering her hand. I thought that was a pretty good scene. My least favorite scene was the giant info dump, where it's just the Doctor and the alien both giving exposition about this alien species that's never appeared on Doctor Who before. And that in general is a big problem of modern Who. But this scene just went on way too long, and it was entirely just exposition nonstop from an annoying voice and the Doctor's voice. And but yeah. Final thoughts. I've always thought that this episode is hated more than it needed to be. It's not a great episode, but it's not an awful episode either. It's really cheesy, and in many ways it seems like it would fit better in Sarah Jane than in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And it's even the right setting for Sarah Jane.
This is also pre-Sarah Jane.
Yeah.
Mm.
But it seems almost like it's written for that kind of age group. Like, even just listening to the announcer and everything, there's a lot of corny shit. Also, this didn't quite make my least favorite scene, but I have to mention the fact where the guy, he's like, the man carrying the torch was struck by lightning and it seems like he's falling. I guess that means the Olympic dream is dead. I'm like, kind of bullshit. Like, first of all, you don't give a fuck about the fact that this man is clearly sick and in need of help. But you're like, the fact that this man is sick means that the Olympic dream is dead?
Well, that would be because it was a message from Zeus.
Like, it was so ridiculous. So my final rating on this episode, I thought there was good about it. I thought there was definitely some bad about it. And I think my final rating is a 3.0 out of 5. I did not check anybody else's ratings before coming up with that.
That's pretty average for this. And that is going to do absolutely nothing to the average. That will be the third 3.0 for that, but that's offset by a 3.5, a 4.5, and a 2.5.
Considering how many people on the internet talk about it as if it were a 1 or a 2, I'm kind of glad that we're on the same page.
I gave it the 2.5. And that's because I only like it slightly better than Fear Her, which I gave the flat 2 to.
Wait, this is Fear Her.
No, I mean, excuse me, Love and Monsters.
Oh, okay.
My eyes went down slightly.
Wait.
Yeah, I liked it slightly better than Love and Monsters, which I gave the flat 2 to. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, it felt like it was either proto Sarah Jane Adventures or like a Children in Need special disguised as a Doctor Who episode.
It was more, Olympics are coming to London, because I think that was
right.
It was when it was announced.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I really thought when the Olympics finally came, they were going to reenact some of that.
Yeah, that would have been
David
nice.
Tennant coming out, and now it's just been like, oh yeah.
At least they had the Olympics that year.
And if this episode had been better liked, they probably would have.
True.
All right. All right, so now we're going to move on to the summary.
All right.
Okay. Let's see.
And while Thomas is talking, I'm going to continue munching on stale chips.
Hooray!
Are you ready, Thomas?
Yep.
Okay. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, the episode opens. We have like a little cold open where this, I'm assuming she's supposed to be a prostitute, is getting assaulted, and then she comes across something happens, and we just kind of cut before it looks like she's about to get shot. And then we cut to modern day, where Torchwood had been called to what seems like it was probably supposed to be a construction site or something, but they found human remains. So Torchwood had been called in because I guess they figured something was screwy about it. And there does seem to be human traces around it. And it turns out that the woman who looked like the prostitute in the cold open is there watching, but obviously with a more modern appearance. From there, goddamn. Let's see. We have Owen and Gwen flirting. And Tosh runs into the woman, who seemingly knows everything about her and knows about Torchwood. And she shows her this artifact that can allow her to hear other people's thoughts. Eventually getting her to gather some sort of control over it, to hone in on one person. The next day, she wears it while she's at the Torchwood office and overhears other people's thoughts, and feels what they really think about her, possibly. She ends up going home and ends up talking to the woman who calls herself Mary, who tries to give the pendant back to her, but she insists that she needs to keep it. She ends up trying to. I mean, they basically end up having sex, and then from then, there's a bit where Tosh is using it in public, and eventually hones in on someone who is going home to kill his wife and child, and she ends up making it there, following him there to save them, which later Jack finds out about. Oh my god, it's really hard to remember this episode. Let's see. They end up realizing that the skeleton they'd found was not actually a woman but a guy, and stuff like that. Bloody hell, let's see. It ends up turning out later anyway. I'm just going to skip ahead. Turns out later that this woman is actually an alien, and that she's basically been manipulating Tosh this whole time to be able to get Tosh to take her into Torchwood HQ. And she threatens to kill Tosh when everyone else emerges, only for Jack to end up saving the day. Tosh is still quite emotionally messed up. Owen and Gwen kind of have a go at her because they realize that she's overheard that they're having an affair. And Tosh destroys the pendant. And I think that's about it. Yeah.
4 minutes to 25 seconds.
All right.
Now you know why I usually take notes. I was even like trying to use the wiki thing for reference.
You did the I'm gonna skip ahead part. I'm like, you skipped ahead right to where you need to get going anyways.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I was just blanking.
Let's deal with what we liked about the episode. Bill, you're first.
Oh, okay. And for once, I actually had what I liked and a backup. But I liked the way this episode focused on Tosh. I think it's quite possibly the only episode of Torchwood that really focuses on her in this way. And it really gives a chance to see her as a three-dimensional character, rather than just a member of the cast who's kind of quiet and doesn't, have that much characterization about her. So I liked the chance to really get into her head and see what she's thinking and feeling and everything.
And thank you for taking the only thing I liked about this episode. Matt.
Well, try to think. Overall, good thing. Oh gosh. It's not that I hate this episode. It's just like, okay, why am I drawing blanks right now? I like that the opening bit seems to be almost completely like, what the hell's going on? But it definitely plays back into what goes on to the major plot. So it's a very it feels out there, but then the entirety of the plot, including the weird opener, actually does come back and play off to being something very, very important as it plays out after the credits. So there's a body there, and then that finally leads them to the link that make them realize what's going on, which is essentially there's an alien that's been stealing people's hearts, quite literally, and it leads to other plot developments by the end. It's just a nice tied together story.
All right, Thomas.
I guess I'll just go with the acting. Because even the stuff I don't like about this is at least well acted enough that I'm like, well, at least the acting's good enough that you can't blame like both the acting and what's being written. So like for what they've got to work with, they're doing pretty well.
All right, Tim.
I guess you could, grasping at straws here. I liked the design of the alien themselves, like just the squid-like tentacle thing, but not in a creepy way. No.
I can't remember if they did it first or if Sarah Jane Adventures
I think
did it first.
this did it first, because this is first season, correct?
Yeah.
So yeah, Torchwood would have used it first, like about half a year or so before Sarah Jane would reuse it.
Yeah, because they used it in the very first episode of SJA as the alien giving her the sonic lipstick.
Yeah.
I think the only
it wasn't
SJA
that... It was the musical device.
Okay.
I think the only Sarah Jane that would have aired at this point is the special that was before the start of season 1.
Yeah,
this
that's the special.
This was in the special.
I especially liked the effects of the transformation scene when she revealed her form.
Yeah, they managed to tie those two different elements together pretty well.
Okay, to end this debate. So Invasion of the Bane. No, that's the book, not the actual episode. Damn it. Was, I believe, a Christmas or a New Year's Day special, I think. Why can't I find a list of episodes? There we go. List of serials.
January 07.
Oh, 1st of January 07. And then this particular episode of Torchwood.
Open.
26th of November 06.
So yes, they this came first, but barely.
Well, it released first. They probably made that. Yeah. We don't know for sure when they made this actual CG creature itself. But yeah. Because it was probably new on their computers, that's why they found it easy just to add that as a CG creature for Sarah Jane.
It's because the mill had it in spare,
Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, we can recycle a few things, add some more tweaks, and then we've got an entire sequence done. There you go. And it ties into Torchwood, which ties into Doctor Who. Ta-da!
Yep.
Especially since Sarah Jane is only there for like a couple of seconds anyway. So
Yeah, it's literally a side scene. They don't talk or anything. It's just there.
yeah.
Did they even reference that?
I don't. Well, they don't like directly reference that this was a thing that showed up in Torchwood, but they do make a name for the creature.
Yep. They mentioned the fact that Sarah Jane encounters it in Invasion of the Bane. Okay. Just they fact checked and made sure everything was okay. Okay. So I guess that's to me what I liked, and I'm going to pass because I got nothing left.
Wow.
What we disliked about the episode, Bill?
So what I disliked, I don't remember if I had something more specific that I wanted to say. So what I'm going to go with then is that there's, especially after having become more educated on the topic since last watching this episode, there's a lot of hallmarks of abusive and manipulative relationships, even early on in this episode, that makes it hard to watch if you're seeing all the red flags, to the point where, like, I mean, I rewatching it, I knew at the end about the betrayal and everything, but I also there's so many red flags that I saw going into this that I hadn't been aware of when I first watched it, that makes it really hard to be in the moment.
Are you talking about the relationship between Tosh and what's-her-face?
Yes.
Tosh and
Now, mind you, that's supposed to be an abusive, manipulative relationship.
Right. And that's on one hand, like, a lot of viewers would have gotten that on the first time. But it's still, and I'm not saying that it's a negative thing in terms of the episode being made badly. It's just something that makes it hard to watch and less enjoyable, I think.
Well,
but I do think it was done well and done correctly.
Yeah, it's just kind of hard to believe Tosh fell for it, but yeah. But all right,
I could see her being a little naive in that realm, so that part doesn't surprise me.
All right, Matt, how about you? What did you dislike about it?
Oh, what did I dislike about it? I think the part of the plot that bothers me the most, and this is a general thing, is that Tosh obviously keeps not liking having that necklace on, but she keeps doing it anyways. It's something that in particular, it's not even the relationship thing, it's the necklace thing that makes me go, why? Why do you keep falling for it?
It becomes like an addiction.
I suppose, kind of, but you'd think after the first really bad negative reaction, you'd be like, nope, done.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like like a drug addiction metaphor.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's like it's like having a power trip, really, and then turn around and doing more acid.
Yeah, especially considering like her hair gets more frazzled the more it goes along and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was a subtle subplot about addiction. Thomas, what did you dislike?
Mine's basically tagging on to Bill's, but the specific reasoning it bugged the shit out of me was something I realized as the episode was starting was, oh, this is the episode where they decide to do the manipulative queer person shtick. Great. So now I have to sit through an episode of Torchwood where it's a manipulative bi or pansexual.
I don't think she was truly. I don't think she was truly gay. I think it was more like she would manipulate anybody.
Yeah.
Regardless of gender.
It's like a trope as old as cinema.
Right.
It's just like, oh great, this thing again. And it was just like, oh, fucking hell, torture. I mean, like, it's one of those things where I didn't mind like queer villains in Birds of Prey, but they're also not like they just happen to be, and also they make it explicitly clear that Harley Quinn is. And this, it's like I just kept thinking, okay, so does pretty much the entire cast at this point being queer make this any less annoying? And it's like, no, it doesn't make it any less annoying. because the villain is the only one who really expresses any. Like, Jack is oddly not flirty at all, for a change.
Yeah, that really doesn't kick in until series 2.
So it's just all like, oh, right, we're doing this in Torchwood. Great. So that was a slog to get through.
All right, Tim?
One thing I didn't like about this episode was it seemed that there was a plot line that was unresolved in which Tosh is listening to the thoughts and says, "Oh my God, is this what they really think of me? They hate me," And it would be nice if like she listened to him again and like heard thoughts, that sort of like contradicted that, or at least like put the original thoughts like in more of perspective.
Right.
Yeah, well, that would have underlined the series theme of Owen is a dick.
Yeah. Yeah, like they kind of hand wave it both times it comes up, like, that's just stuff that they're not even aware that they're thinking. And then Jack at the end of the episode, Jack at the end of the episode is also just like, that's stuff we're not supposed to hear. It's like, okay.
It's used as an isolation tactic, as a way to make her feel like nobody has her back. But it definitely would be nice if, like, even if it didn't happen until after the climax, and like she heard like everyone being like, "Oh, thank God Tosh is still alive" or something like that.
Yeah.
But of course, Owen's too much of a dick to care either way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or even
Owen
just
has
like
someone
when
on
they
the
do
team.
have, or at least when they do have the knife to her throat, have everyone like, "Oh my God," like,
right.
We have to save Tosh, kind of a thing, because instead everyone's thinking about literally everything except, oh no, she's in danger.
Yeah. Although it does make me wonder in retrospect, having seen later series of Torchwood, how Tosh goes from hearing his jerk-ass thoughts in this to having a crush on him in series 2.
Well, she has a crush on him from the beginning of season 1
from the beginning. Yeah, it's
But
obviously how
like that's why she gets so pissed off in this episode. Was she's
I know, but I mean,
hard.
how it stayed. Because remember, they had this kind of thing going in series 2 after Owen died, which I don't like to think about, but
I don't think anyone likes to think about.
But
it's not like he's the only dead guy on the team.
Russell, you've been watching way too much Buffy again, haven't you?
Sorry.
Anyway, so I'm surprised we got through all what we disliked, and none of us went to the elephant in the room.
Well, that's because it's the obvious elephant in the room.
The Owen-Gwen relationship.
Yeah.
It's because that's something you could say about every episode this season.
Every other episode.
The previous few episodes were remarkably light on that. And like 5 minutes into this, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the one where they get back to Owen.
This is the one where they compound for all the episodes that were missing it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I'm pretty sure some of you even modified your scores for the last episode we did because I brought up in my final thoughts, oh, well, at least we didn't have the Gwen Owen plot.
Yeah, I think I was in the middle somewhere. Then you mentioned, oh, no Gwen Owen. I'm like, oh, you're right. This makes it better.
And yeah, no, it's all over the place in this, and it's just like, ugh. I remember watching this when it aired and going, ugh. And now an honorable mention to what I dislike about this episode. They mentioned the chest burster, but no one anywhere mentioned Temple of Doom. Think about that. Yes, Kali Ma. Like it's like I looked at that. It's like, oh, there's somebody Kali Ma there.
Because the Torchwood team is more sci-fi fans than fantasy.
Well, it's not so much fantasy as action adventure, but yeah.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a weird slip to the fantasy side of things.
Or could they not mention it because it was American? I mean, John Hurt was okay because he was British, but And that must mean that, the John Hurt in this universe must not look like John Hurt in ours, because otherwise the guy in Aliens would have looked remarkably like the War Doctor.
Of course, I do wonder now if there was like the writer for this in hindsight, like was watching the episode when it aired and was like, shit, I should have made that joke.
It's a perfect joke to make.
Mhm.
I mean, it's even referred to on the internet as Kali Maing. So, all right. So, favorite scene.
Oh, my favorite scene was when Buffy finds Jonathan about to kill himself. Oh no, wait, wrong version of this episode. But no. In all seriousness, I'm going to go with the scene where Tosh tries to read Jack's mind, and he even tries to hint that like he knows something is going on, and he's still trying to be supportive, and she's so like wrapped up in her own shit that she doesn't even notice. Where he's like, he's like, nice save, Tosh, and she just like stares blankly and like says something and walks away, and he's like, fuck. Like I thought that was really well characterized scene.
I just figured out something else I disliked about this episode. Previously somebody did something like this and got kicked out of Torchwood or threatened to. Tosh brings somebody down into Torchwood proper, all this stuff, and they just make some nice words. Some leader follower alone time, and everything's okay. Where's all the disciplinary action he was threatening to hit Ianto with in Cyberwoman? All right, Matt, your favorite scene.
Well, I'll say that at least Ianto wasn't mind ganked, but yeah. Least favorite scene. No, favorite scene is what we're on right now.
Favorite scene. Favorite scene.
Favorite scene. Oh gosh, I guess I'll go with the last scene with Jack too. He doesn't even need to really forcibly kind of hint to her that maybe this is a bad idea to keep the necklace, and she smashes it. And I forget what he was. Oh, the boss banter. So what does a boss do at a time like this? I mean, normal bosses.
They fire you.
They retcon you.
Oh, I can't hit you. All that darn red tape. It's like, okay, Jack. I mean, I get that Jack can be dark sometimes, but oh boy.
They fire you, preferably out of a cannon. All right, Thomas, your favorite scene.
Well, I'm surprised I got this far without this being taken, so I'm just gonna go with, and I mean, like, it's dependent on people, but I'm just gonna go with the scene where Tosh saves the kid from getting killed. Yeah. I knew I'd be stealing it from someone behind me, but I was just like, well, fuck it. That's literally the only scene I've got. So
yeah, I know. That was the only one I had too.
Plucking hairs this poor day.
All right, Tim.
I guess my favorite scene is the scene in the autopsy room when Owen's entire theorizing gets debunked.
I would have put that. That would have been my follow-up, except there's too much Gwen and Owen in there.
I was gonna say that scene is entirely about Gwen and Owen flirting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a little bit of that, but there's still a lot of other things going on there too, because Jack and the others are there.
Yeah, I know, but they're subtly flirting. So that's to me, and I'm going to pass again because I got nothing left. All right, least favorite scene.
Okay, so my least favorite scene, this is one that I'm particularly going to pin on RTD as script editor. Because he, if nobody else knew better, he should have known better. And this is the scene where Jack comes in and he's talking about why he knows to notice when people are acting funny. but in the process, he misgenders his transgender woman friend like 3-4 times. And I just, as somebody who supposedly is from a more enlightened future that's not caught up in 20th century hangups and all that stuff, he of all characters should have been the one who was, more like cash, did not consider that a big deal. But instead, for the sake of this story, that was this big shocking thing that he didn't even know how to use the right terminology for. And it doesn't fit his character, and it doesn't fit something I would have expected from a show run by RTD.
Was he script editing this at this point?
Well, he was showrunner of
so.
Torchwood, so
He was EP. Script editor was Brian Minchin. It was written by Toby Whithouse. Script editor was Brian Minchin. Russell T was an exec on it, but so was Julie Gardner.
Yeah.
Producers was Stokes and Chibnall. So again, that may fall, that little misquote may have fallen under a miscue of the Balchinian. So. All right. And, that just meant that Russell just kind of glanced at it and went, okay, and didn't really pay attention to it.
Didn't pay all attention to the fine details, yeah.
Because he was probably planning out the next, run of Doctor Who.
He was probably in the middle of the next Doctor Who, and maybe even already planning Sarah Jane at that point. So.
Yeah, he would have been working on the first season of Sarah Jane at that time as well.
So he was probably a little hassled. All right, Matt.
Least favorite scene, correct?
Yes, Lee.
Gosh, which one did I hate the most? I'm trying to decide.
I mean, there are plenty of Gwen Owen scenes if you just want to listen.
That's true. Which one of the Gwen Owen scenes do I want to decide? Because if everything turned my stomach once in a while, it's those. Oh gosh. You know what? I remember this bothering me the first time I saw it. The scene where Owen is trying to figure out what caused the chest wound, and the entire time he's focused on the body, and the entire time you're hearing his thoughts trying to figure out what's going on, and just being focused on that for the moment. And I think there's a little bit of him just saying to himself, "Not to bother turning around right now." And then you just constantly hear Gwen constantly going, "Why is he looking? Why is he looking? Why is he looking? Why is he doing this?"
Yeah.
It's like, oh, for Frell's sake.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is why you don't start relationships inside of the company, because you start acting like 15-year-olds. God, get out of the room.
Yeah.
All
Also,
right.
Gwen was still in a relationship at this point, so it's like,
Yeah.
Yep.
what the fuck?
Yep.
Thomas.
Well, the Gwen Owen scene I'm going with is the one where it's like the one where Owen and Gwen are going on about, oh, we just had sex in his car before we got here or whatever. Like, I can still smell him on me. I probably should have changed or whatever the fuck. And like Owen's doing a similar thing of like, oh shit, I should probably have changed my pants or whatever the fuck. And it's just like, oh, fucking hell, why?
Yeah, I don't remember catching that the first time, but I caught it this time, and I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. So, Tim, what scene made you want to die?
Oh, it didn't make me want to die, but it mildly annoyed me. The scene where at the end where Owen gets in Tasha's face is like, what do you know now? Like it's not your business, like that.
Yeah.
Thing is like that just like really layered on the Owen is an asshole thing.
All right, I'm going to feed off that scene because what I disliked was slightly later in the same scene. And that's Gwen talking to Tosh and saying, "Oh, I should take this as a warning sign, but no, I'm not going to."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, the fact that you realize that this should be a warning sign usually would have been enough to, actually heed the warning sign. But
Yeah.
no, she's just like, nope, I'm going to continue having this affair because me.
Hmm.
And I'm like, ugh, really?
Yeah.
Ugh. It's things that just make me absolutely hate this.
Hmm.
All right, final thoughts.
Okay. So to start my final thoughts, I'm going to mention one thing the backup that I had for what I liked about the episode, and this is partially because it's season 1 and not season 2, but I still think season 1 tended to have this problem sometimes as well. Is that they managed to toe the line well between the darker boss Torchwood Jack and the goofy Doctor Who Jack, and they managed to show both sides in this episode.
They still managed
so
to do that
a
mostly
little
in
bit better than
series
normal
2,
on this
though.
one.
That it completely lost the rail in series 3.
Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
But yeah, so this episode it had potential to be a pretty good episode. It would never be one of my favorite episodes because it has plot elements that aren't ones that I would enjoy returning to over and over again. But it could still be pretty good. Unfortunately, especially when you look at some of the things we talked about under like least favorite scenes and things, it had a lot of stuff that really just drags it down to make it less and less enjoyable, which definitely really hurts it. I think the overall, like the main plot outline, the part that probably was written by RTD in terms of, oh yeah, commission someone to write this episode. Here's the 5 plot points I want them to hit. That part was pretty good, but there's a lot of stuff in between that just makes it a slog to get through, and a lot of it is stuff that's common throughout Torchwood. We've just spent however long talking about Owen and Gwen, things like that. But yeah, it's looking at those fine details, it makes it a little disappointing because this could have easily been at least a 4.0 episode, and I think that they drag it down and prevent that from happening.
All right.
That's it for me.
All right. Yeah. As much as there's a good story going on here, when you break it down to the basic points, there's a lot of issues that underline it that seem to be a problem with at least season 1 Torchwood. And the major problem is that they're trying to go for adult, but it's like lowest common denominator adult, and it doesn't really work. I think they got better.
Remind you of the sex alien episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not as bad, but this is the same season. It's not all that bright. There's definitely some problems, underlying problems. I figured them out by season 2, as far as I can remember. But yeah, season 1 suffered a lot, and it seems to be a constant burden, even more so here, especially since we're now reading people's thoughts, and the Gwen and Owen thing is even worse than usual.
Mm-hmm. All right, Thomas.
Yeah, this is one of those episodes where the bare bones premise of like, oh, this person comes into this person's life and basically takes it to shit by way of addiction is like, okay, there's a good story in that, but then they get so hung up in the Gwen Owen stuff and all this other stuff that it's just like, why is this here? Like, if you stripped it back and just had Gwen and Owen in the back, all that, it maybe be fine. But and like the fact that it's like the whole like manipulative queer trope thing still would bug me, but it wouldn't bug me as much because at least you could, if you were focusing more on like, that was never going to escape my gaze, but it was still just like, oh, but you You could have made it work. You could have. I would have probably cared less. If there hadn't been so much focus on other shit, and just like this. This is one of those episodes where now that we've covered it on this, I'm probably never watching it again. Just because, it's just a slog.
All right, Tim.
I believe that one of the main premises of this episode, which was the dangers of unfettered telepathy, has been explored better in other TV series and movie films.
Twilight Zone.
Yep. But on the plus side, I did think that the performances were pretty good, especially Tosh. And the design of the aliens were good. But other than that, I think this was just a slightly average episode.
All right.
It didn't really.
I just
Yes.
I just realized our opening bump should have been Oz's monologue about if his thoughts are Buffy, is Buffy now him?
All right. Anyway, so my thoughts on this is that there is almost every single thing in this episode annoys me. The acting is okay, but all the Owen and Gwen stuff annoy me. The character that they have for this annoys me because she's so freaking obvious. Gwen's choice at the end annoys me. Even the soundtrack annoys me because there's these little disjointed bits in it that just makes my ears hurt. Literally everything that would possibly give me enjoyment in this episode is gone. And instead I'm dealt with more of this Owen and Gwen shit, which is the subplot I despise in this series. The lead character is so self-absorbed and assholey, which, I realize, there's no ashtrays in your apartment while she's smoking. Probably means she doesn't smoke there. It just, things like that just really obviously annoy me, and it just, So, yes, I don't really like this episode much.
One other scene says, are you done?
Yeah.
One other scene I'd happened to think about that I just remembered again that also drive me bonkers. So multiple times, we see the necklace getting tossed around, thrown about, and everything else. Literally, a light stepping on it breaks it.
Yeah, I would have liked to seen that stomped.
Yeah,
I could have seen it as a stomp, but she just kind of
I could see it. I could see if she got up and stomped on it really hard a couple times, and then it finally started to break. But she barely stepped on it. It's really?
And that would have gone so well with Gwen's internally criticizing Tasha's boots.
Yep. All right.
That's why I wear boots, because they got these really good heels.
Ratings.
I'm going to say 3.5.
Ew, that's generous in my book.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's kind of generous.
Matt?
I'm barely giving it I'm barely giving it a 3, because there's enough good things there, but it's rough.
Thomas?
2.5.
Tim?
3.
And I am giving it a 2 flat. Because like I said, my only thing is it's better than Cyberwoman, but not by much.
Very marginally.
And I gave Cyberwoman a 1.5. Oh yeah, and the sex alien episode, I gave that a 1.5 too. So yeah, it's a little better than those, but not by much. That will average this episode of Torchwood to a 2.8, which will put it.
Tim are closest.
302 out of 336 things reviewed. So it is down there. It is
Out of how many?
336.
Ooh.
And it's number 302.
It's also easily the lowest thing this season that we've rated.
Oh yeah.
It is on par with The Tribe of Gum, minus an unearthly child. The TV movie,
Ooh.
which I remember me bitching that we rated Bill and Ted above that. Hyde, Angels Take Manhattan, and my legendary rant on that one. Delta and the Bannermen, Revenge of the Cyberman, Voyage of the Damned, and The Crimson Horror. Oh my God.
Crimson Horror.
Oh.
It's been a while since we've been
Although-
with you.
I just realized now that we've reviewed Delta and the Bannermen, I can remember what happened in it for once. Even though after the first 2 times I watched it, I had no memory of anything that happened in it.
I can remember it, yeah. It is better than Victory of the Daleks by a point. And it is not as good as Time of the Doctor, Vampires in Venice, Horns of Naiman.
Oh, my brain
Aliens of
repressed. My
Wonder in
brain
World
still
War
represses
III.
Delta and Bannerman. I just looked it up and went, "Oh, that episode." Wow.
So, yeah. 302 out of 336. That is all we have to say about Torchwood Grease Bearing Gifts.
So that's what we have to say. What do those watching on Torchwood? Wow, on YouTube, it's the same number of syllables, and they both have
They're
a T
watching
sound.
us hide.
But yes,
They found us.
those watching on YouTube and Twitch, we'd love to hear what you think about this episode, how you feel about some of the things that pissed us off, or if you agree about any of the things that we enjoyed. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or follow on Twitch to keep getting our new episodes, including...
Next week?
Yep.
Next week, we reach our 350th episode. So I
Holy
thought
wow.
we'd do something different. Let's take a look at the spin-off that never happened. It'll be a barking good time as we review Canine and Company, A Girl's Best Friend, starring Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith and John Leeson as the voice of Canine.
Oh, that pun.
I know. I was groaning as I wrote it.
Oh, welcome to the 80s cheese, everyone. Have a good night.
Sweet dreams.